Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Graphext webinar. Let's get started today. So my name is Kay. I'm the COO of Graphext, and here with me is Max, who's our solution engineer. We're very excited to be able to have you in the next 45 minutes and talk a bit more about how to apply data science to marketing analytics. So in the next 45 minutes, we're going to go through a few things. First, we'll start by a little introduction about Graphext for those of you who haven't heard about us. We are then going to go over some key challenges you typically face when you are doing marketing analytics. Then we're going through two specific case studies, one about market research and another one about survey analysis to show you how you could actually apply data science to solve those very common questions in your day-to-day life. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to talk a little bit about Graphext and tell you what we do. So we are a data science software company, and we are building the best intuitive solution to help the business users to apply data science to their job. The specific solution we're solving are focused in three areas. The first area is data preparation. So what we are trying to address is when you start the data analysis process, very often people are facing the problem of not having clean data or very messy data. And we are having a very intuitive interface which could guide non-technical users, so people without computer science or statistic background, to go through this process without need of any coding. The second problem we're trying to address with our tool is data exploration. So we have a very visual platform, which you will see later in our case study, that is embedded with the latest machine learning algorithms and many self-generated analysis. So whichever use case you are focusing on, we could already give you a lot of automated suggestion on the typical analysis you could do with your data. And then finally, we also have a very interesting reporting section. Instead of the static reporting, which you are probably very familiar with many of the tools that are around the market, we could actually dynamically show you the analysis process for you to reproduce your analysis and show that to your team. And then this is a great way to encourage team working and collaborative working. Next section, let's just go over a bit more around the key challenges you're probably facing today when you're doing your market analysis. Let's talk about market analysis first of all. Market analysis is on the rise across different industries and different companies. I think the main reason is as more and more data become available, companies are becoming more data-driven and they want to use a data-driven approach to solve the typical problems in marketing. And this approach is related about develop a 360-degree of understanding of customers, and that is before they purchase, during the purchase, and even post-purchase their feedback on the market. And finally, those companies are also very interested in generating personalized insights. So no longer mass insight based on numbers and figures, but really based on understanding a specific segment of customers, what they do, and how you can cater your company proposition to these specific group of people. And a big challenge for those companies in terms of the level of analysis they could do very often is dependent on the data science capability the team has. What I mean by that is I want to draw a very clear distinction between data analytics and data science. In 99% of company, I think the marketing analysis are still very much focused on the data analysis itself. This kind of analysis is done by your typical tools such as Excel, Tableau, using pie chart, different graphic design. And this kind of question are really descriptive questions which are focused on what happened. So this could be what is happening in my market, in my sales, and very descriptive of the event that has happened in the past. A lot of companies are trying to go a bit further, especially with a lot of the advanced data science technology available right now in the market, to go beyond what has happened, but also try to understand why. In this part, you are going through the prescriptive analysis, trying to understand the motive, the incentive, and then the reasons behind certain events. And then by understanding those specific triggers and factors that impact the decision-making, not only you can understand past events, but also predict future events. And that's a significant difference between data analytics and also data science. We already said there are a lot of available technology around data science and also a lot of buzz around this specific topic. But in reality, companies are still having a lot of trouble actually applying them in their day-to-day analysis. Some of the key challenges they have, first of all, is obtaining the data. So before, when you're doing market research, a lot of data come from the statistics office, the market research form. But more and more, people are more willing to share the public opinions online, and you will find a lot of interesting data from social media. But then getting this data is often challenging. You have to scrape the data from different sources, they have different format, making sure you can actually work with this data become a big challenge for people in marketing. The second challenge is dealing with large volume. This is where we are talking about the big data. It is probably okay for you to analyze 500 or even 600 lines of data using Excel. But then when you're dealing with 500,000 or even 1 million rows of data, without a very effective tool, it becomes very challenging to analyze them effectively. The third challenge is around the data themselves, the data format. So again, typical analysis you're probably doing today, looking at numerical data, categorical data, which are still relatively easy to solve. But then data are coming more and more in different formats. So you could be dealing with free text, you could be dealing with image data, and these kind of data are unstructured, and it's very difficult to analyze them, and even more if they're mixed with other structured data. So when you have a bag of structured and unstructured data, how do you analyze them effectively become very challenging. We have also heard a lot of things about NLP, so natural language processing. It is a very powerful technique, but again, in reality, it's hard to apply them if you don't have the right tool to help you. And then lastly, multivariable analysis. So again, the typical analysis you're probably doing is single variable, which means we're specifically looking at a one variable and how this particular variable is impacting the entire data set, which is still relatively easy to solve. But when you are dealing with 50 or 60 factors, which every single factor could impact your analysis, the so-called multivariable analysis, then again become very, very difficult to analyze this kind of data without a very powerful data science solution. So I hopefully I have outlined some of the challenges you may be facing today in your marketing analytics. And in the next section, my colleague Max will take over, and he's going to go over 2 specific case studies with you to show you how this could be done with Graphext.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kay, for this great introduction. We're going to continue now with the 2 case studies. The first one is about market research. The second one is going to be about customer segmentation. When you think about market research, you know that traditional market research focuses a lot on figures and statistics to find trends in data. But usually this approach only scratches the surface and doesn't really help you to understand the why of a purchase or the why of a not purchase. Now with social media on the search, and people are more willing to openly share their opinion on social media, we think that this is a great source on finding out somebody's true intention. So by analyzing what is being said on social media, by doing social listening, you can understand your customer's true intention and you can track trigger events to change their behavior. For that reason, we are going to show you now an example of a market research project in which we analyze tweets that mention big beverage companies, for example, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, Dr. Pepper. And we obtained these tweets by using our scraping tool, Tractor. Let me just leave this for a second, and I'm going to show you how Tractor would work. It will just take a minute. 1 second. So here you have Tractor. I hope you can see it now. In Tractor, you can simply select the source from which you want to obtain information, tweets, news, Instagram post, Facebook post. You can scrape whole accounts. Here you specify the query. What I did was I just simply put Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper, and so on. I could specify even more. The other parameters I set accordingly as well. And then once the scraping is finished, I simply upload the data set into Graphext and let Graphext do all the work for me and the natural language processing and the unsupervised clustering that I am going to work with. I'm going to show you now how the project looks eventually. Let me share again the other screen. So here we have now the project that contains all the tweets that mention the big beverage companies. The project has different components. You see it already in the middle, the graph, the most important component. The graph contains of nodes and links. If we zoom in, we see we get an understanding of what this is about. Here we have a node. Every node represents a tweet, and the link between two nodes represents similarity between two tweets. The closer they are, the more similar they are, and tweets that share a lot of links among each other form a uniquely colored cluster that talks about the same narrative. We create these clusters unsupervised using NLP. And on the left-hand side, you have an overview about the clusters here and the significant terms of each cluster, the terms that best describe their similarity. Furthermore, you have the collections. Those are clusters or collections, as the name says, that you created manually by yourself by applying filters using the variables on the right side. On the right side, you have all the variables that we extracted, like the keywords, but also variables that were initially part of the data set. And on top, you have the different tabs of your exploration. For example, graph, trends, compare, details, and to share your project, the insights and the publish. So you can share the link to external users. Let's have a look on an example. For example, the yellow cluster. This cluster, if you look at the significant terms, says check out vintage, Coca-Cola, sale, artwork, glass, Star Wars. So I have already an idea of what this could mean. Probably those are people that sell Coca-Cola merch, but I have now several options to find out if this is true. I could check, for example, the keywords, the hashtags, how these are distributed for this cluster, or what I sometimes just do, I click on a few tweets and check what they are talking about. For example, here, Barbara Jean is talking about check out collectible Coca-Cola red rhinestone bottle keychain retro. So my assumption was right in this case. Coca-Cola would like to know about this. Maybe they also have retro merch in stock and they want to make a lottery and give that away to loyal customers. I think this is a very interesting story that you wouldn't have expected in the first place to be that big, 5%. If I deselect the cluster again, we can also, I'm going to show you now how you can also start manually exploring the project. This was something that we found automatically for you, but maybe you're also interested in finding out other patterns using the variables that we exported. You can use the keywords, the hashtags, retweets, favorites. You can use much more even the sentiment or the date, which is very interesting in marketing purposes. In this case, I'm going to focus on the keywords. Right now, the keywords are sorted by their absolute appearances. So Pepsi is the single most mentioned keyword. Afterwards, followed by Red Bull, Gatorade, and so on. If I click on Coca-Cola, my project drills down and I see only the tweets that mention Coca-Cola, 4%. If I now change the way the keywords are sorted to selection, I see the keywords that are most mentioned together with Coca-Cola, and I see on the second place cocaine, which is super interesting. I didn't expect this, so I want to know what this is about. I click on it. Again, the project narrows down automatically, and I see here a cluster of people talking about it. The significant terms give me already a great idea and also the caption of the notes. But again, let's just open a tweet here. 2,600 likes of somebody who says, stop making new flavors of Coca-Cola. Either put the cocaine back in it or leave it alone. Another tweet here, for example, we have another subcluster that says, Coca-Cola used to contain cocaine when it was initially introduced. Okay, so we get the point. Coca-Cola is probably interested in knowing about this. They will probably say, okay, if this conversation hits the 5% threshold, I'm going to post a meme, I'm going to post a statement, whatever, but at least they know about it, and then they can maybe in the future actively respond to this communication. And we can do the same procedure again for another provider. For example, Dr. Pepper. Here we have two ones. Let's select this one. And in Dr. Pepper, we see something that's even more harmful. We see on the third spot, we see Nazi. So let's find out again what this is about. We see this time the conversation is not really big, but probably more harmful. So let's zoom in, and we see here tweets that talk about the following: German billionaire family that owns US brands Krispy Kreme, Dr. Pepper, and Kelding had disgusting Nazi past. So this is something that could be really harmful for Dr. Pepper. If I would be the marketing guy in charge who discovered this insight, I want to make sure that this is spread in the department, that we maybe publish a press release about this to say that we are sorry, or whatever is needed in this case. So I want to make sure I save this as an insight. I name it, for example, important insight, save it. And here I have the preview, and on insights in the tab, you see the red dots. So there's something new. I click on it, and here I have the insight that I saved. It can be that you explore your project for several hours, for several days sometimes, and you have many insights captured. So to make sure that you can always go back to the point in the project where you initially captured it, you can simply click on play. You can also edit these slides. And for now, for me, as the marketing guy for Dr. Pepper, I would obviously export this one as a PDF and send it in an email to my supervisor and ask him for advice what we can do here. This was it so far about the market research project. We would now continue with the next example, which is about customer segmentation. If you think about customer segmentation, is it mass marketing or personalized marketing? It's always been a key obstacle to create meaningful segmentations that make sense for your product. The problem is that nowadays segmentation usually focuses on demographic features. But since the world becomes more connected and information is spread more widely, we believe that this approach is not really sufficient anymore. It can be that a business analyst from New York at the Wall Street has a lot in common with a hardware engineer from China. So for this reason, we think that behavior-based segmentation is much more helpful, and we are going to show you now how this would work in Graphext. And in this case, we are going to show you a data set of a survey done by Stanford University. The survey is about how couples meet and stay together. So every row in the data set is a survey respondent. Every variable is an answer that the survey respondent answered to, a question that survey respondent answered to. And we clustered these survey respondents, their opinions, together to create similar profiles of people. Okay? So let's have a look on it. So you see already, you are already familiar with the components of the project, with the different clusters. You know what it means. And in this case, those clusters don't represent narratives, stories that people talk about on social media, but in this case, clusters represent segments, similar profiles of people. So in this, since this survey is about couples in a relationship, those are people that have similarity in their relationship. For example, they're happy, they're not happy. Here are the questions that they answered. How old are you? Okay, this is demographic, but you have also many different other questions. Size of household, type of house, household income, children in household, is your partner female or female? Many different questions, 53 in total. And the single most important one, which would be the target question, is the one that describes the quality of the relationship. How would you describe the quality of your relationship? You see, excellent, good, fair, poor, very poor, or they refuse to answer. Let's have a quick look on a cluster just to get an understanding. For example, the bright blue one. And we see now significant variables instead of significant terms. Significant variables best explain what these people have in common compared to the rest. So the best explaining variable, you see this on the white bars, is how would you describe the quality of relationship? These people, 6% of the whole data set, say that they have a good relationship. Yeah, not excellent, but also not fair, not poor. They have a good relationship. What is their gender? Let's click on it. Their gender, they are all male, and their partner is female. We can continue like this. We get an understanding of this, what these people are about. Right now, we know that they are like people, like heterosexual men that are in a good relationship. But what we can also do is we can use our compare feature. Yeah, I want to show you now how it works. In compare, you can simply plot groups of your population and compare them for the different variables, their distribution. You can either select collections, clusters, or also categories of your categorical variables. Let's start with the clusters. And we want to know the bright blue cluster. And let's compare it maybe to the yellow one. Okay, what you see right now are all the different variables and the distributions of the groups that we compare. We can compare many other groups. Right now we have 2, that is fine for now. And the columns that appear right here, they're ordered by how well they explain the difference of the groups. You can also change it to similarity, but this is up to you, depending on what you're looking for. So best explain the difference. You can also change the way it is represented. Right now it is represented relatively, absolute, tabular, for example, also very interesting. And if you find something super exciting, you can either save it as an insight, as I showed you before in the market research project, or you can simply export it as an image or as a vector file or as a CSV as well. You can change the resolution of the picture and to make sure that, of course, external people have access to your insights as well. Let's have a look on how this comparison would also work for categorical variables. If I deselect this again and I check, for example, it can be that I'm interested already. I have already an idea, a hypothesis that, for example, people that are self-employed might be happier in their relationship than people that don't have a job. So let's just select these groups of people by going to the category variable working status. I select the people that answered they are self-employed, and I compare these people to those that say they're looking for work. So best explaining the collections and the clusters, because I created already collection with these groups, obviously. The age is best explaining, the household income, because they're looking for work, and so on. But I want to know the quality of the relationship. Maybe there's not a big difference because it doesn't appear on top, but maybe there's a small difference, and I want to know how big this difference is. So let's have a look to that variable. How would you describe the quality of relationship? We see excellent, the best value that you can state, is stated in 60% of the times from people that are self-employed, and only in 48% of the time of people that are looking for work. In fair, we have it the other way around, more or less, and the rest is equally. So we see already, okay, people that are self-employed are happy in a relationship. Great insight. So this was actually everything I want to show you about the survey, but the interesting part is now that you can also apply this same procedure to every kind of data set of your customers. This time it was partners in relationship, but these people could also be a customer survey. It could be like customer information, and the target variable would not be the quality of your relationship, but the target variable would be how much did my customer spend in my shop? How many times did he actually buy something? And the variables that you are interested in are maybe how often did that customer talk to my customer support? Anything like that. And we would create in the exact same way profiles of similar people, of similar behavior, and you get a better understanding, a deeper understanding of who your people really are instead of simply plotting 2 variables. If you are interested in these kind of use case and you like what you saw, you can also always check our website. We have many different case studies that are super exciting, and I hope you enjoy this. And Kay is going to take over now again with the last slides. And yeah, thanks for your attention.
Thanks. By the way, I know it's a lot of information to absorb because we went through those case studies fairly quickly. But if you have any question, feel free to chat with us on YouTube, and then we will try to address them after the presentation. So let me just go over and then talk about more about how to actually put marketing analysis into action. If you are a team and you are just starting to think about try to apply some of the advanced data science technology into your analysis, you probably have 2 choices. One is to outsource, the other one is to upskill your current team. By outsource, what I mean is you can probably find consultants or very expensive data scientists, and then outsource this kind of question for them in terms of report or one-off project, and they probably will give you a very good response. But another option is to upskill your existing team and then make sure your team can actually master and then apply the skills themselves. I think the challenge here is probably you have a team who are not very familiar with technology or statistics. The team has background in business, in economics, and you're probably, in the case you're thinking about upskill this kind of team, you're looking for a solution which is user-friendly, very easy to use, which is suitable for business users to do advanced analysis. And then I hope after today's demo, you would give some consideration to Graphext. Again, we are a software which are specifically designed for business users. It's really, really easy to use for business users to solve questions and apply data science techniques. And then we have worked with very different clienteles and then different use cases. But overall, our customer has always been telling us our product is very easy to use. It helped them to save a lot of time. It really helped them to take their analysis to the next level. So if you are interested, I would really encourage you to visit our website and ask for a demo, or contact either Kay or Max for any follow-up questions.